So a day or two after Thanksgiving, I decided to use what was left of the turkey to make a turkey bone broth and turkey soup. I cut off all of the meat and took what was left of the bones and put it in this pot, filled it with water so that the water was completely covering all of these bones, and I boiled them down for the entire day. You want to let it cook for as long as possible. In another pot, I had carrots, celery, garlic, olive oil, all simmering together. This is going to be the base of my soup with some sea salt, cracked pepper, and a bay leaf. After I boiled the bones down for a full day, probably 8 to 12 hours, the longer the better, I took out all of the bones and what was left of the meat, and I poured the broth into the soup mixture of the carrots and celery, garlic, and so on. And I'm going to let this simmer for another little while until all of the vegetables have softened. Once I pulled out all of the bones and what was left of the meat, I separated the meat from the bones and took the meat and shredded it up and put it into the soup. So bone broth is exceptionally healthy for you because it's not only packed with protein, it's full of collagen, which is great for your health and the health of your skin. It's also great for your gut health and your immune system, and it tastes delicious in soups. Once I put what was left of the meat into the soup, I decided to add my secret ingredient, which is Rao's marinara sauce. I know it might sound a little weird, but it tastes absolutely delicious. You just put a little bit, and it's basically like adding tomatoes to your soup, but it has all those other delicious flavors. I'm going to mix that up and let that simmer long enough for all of the vegetables to soften, and then this soup is ready to enjoy. Another reason I love making bone broth, other than the health benefits and how delicious this is to help reduce waste. I love using what's left over to make something delicious and healthy that my whole family can enjoy. And the last thing I do is add my pasta. I use Ditallini Pasta for this soup, but you could also add orzo, rice, or a different kind of macaroni or pasta. I don't put it in the soup though, because I hate how it gets kind of mushy, so I always keep the pasta separate. I make it and put just as much as I want in a bowl, and then I add the soup to the pasta. That way the pasta or rice or anything like that doesn't get mushy. And you're just going to pour this delicious hot soup over your pasta and enjoy all the health benefits. It tastes amazing. This particular soup is probably the best one I've ever made, and I'm so glad I made it. Enjoy.